Teshuva requires us to make changes. On the most basic level, the first stage of Teshuva is azivat hachet, refraining from the actions we want to stop. But on the higher level, Teshuva is going back to the desire for a more godly year, a more ethical year, a happier year, a more healthy, a more spiritual year. And this requires from us lifestyle changes. But we find it hard to make changes. We find it hard to persist with our changes. This is what I do. This is how I do things. We normally prefer to stay with our old habits. I want to discuss the difficulty of making these changes and suggest, through the words of the Rambam and Shlomo HaMelech in Shir HaShirim, 2 tools for making changes in life. I don't think I have the perfect recipe for making changes, but I want to try and be inspired by the words of the Rambam and Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo HaMelech and the Rambam both understand that the problem that is stopping us from making changes is that we are asleep. Being asleep is the opposite of awareness. When one is awake and aware, he feels the consequences of his actions and the repercussions of his decisions. He feels the weight of his bad habits and actions, and he feels that they're pulling him back. When one is asleep, he's oblivious to the price of his choices. He doesn't feel the need and the deep desire to make a change. If he decides to make a change, it will be focused on a localized problem, a localized change, and normally it will be a superficial desire. It's Elul, I need to make a change. Because it's Elul, I must do another good deed. To make a real change, one needs to be awake. One needs to feel the deep need. The Rambam tells us that this is part of the job of the shofar. The shofar calls us to wake up, to bring us to awareness in which we are conscious of our mistakes and understand the need for change. The Rambam says, "Af al pi shetki'at shofar berosh hashana gzerat hakatuv, remez yesh bo. כלומר, אורו ישנים משנתכם, ונרדמים, הקיצו מתרדמתכם. וחפשו במעשיכם, וחזרו בתשובה, וזכרו בוראיכם." Wake up. Return to awareness. Return to the sensitivity that feels the price you are paying for your actions. But one might feel it's too late. One might feel that he has already been written in the book of Rashaim. So the Rambam calls on us to feel that we are at the tipping point. At the point that this action will change ourselves from kaf chova to kaf zchut. The words of the Rambam, לפיכך צריך כל אדם שיראה את עצמו כל השנה כולה, כאילו חציו זכאי וחציו חייו. וכן כל העולם, חציו זכאי וחציו חייו. חטא חטא אחד, הרי הכריע את עצמו ואת כל העולם כולו לכף חובה, וגרם לו השחתה. עשה מצווה אחת, הרי הכריע את עצמו ואת כל העולם כולו לכף זכות, וגרם לו ולהם תשובה והצלה. The Rambam calls us to brush off that voice that says, it's over, it's done. We must believe that this action, this challenge that we are confronting at the moment, is the tipping point of ourself, the tipping point of the world. When one is driving on a familiar road, and he might be tired, often he won't be aware exactly where he is. He knows he has to carry on driving. The moment in which he has to wake up and be aware of where he is when he gets to a junction. There's no straight, right or left. Here he must be aware of where he is and which direction he wants to go. The Rambam calls on us to always feel like we are at a junction. never just going on a straight road. And at the junction, we have the decision to go right or left, to take our journey to Kaf Zchut, or to take our journey to Kaf Chova. Shlomo HaMelech, in Shir HaShirim, in his parable about the relationship between the Dod and the Ra'aya, between God and Am Yisrael, takes us for a deeper insight about the difficulty to make changes. Like the Rambam, the starting point is that Am Yisrael is asleep. Ani yeshana velibi er. Kol dodi dofek, pitchi li. Am Yisrael is asleep, but their heart is awake. They're awake enough to hear Hashem knocking, but they're not awake enough to get up and open the door. Why don't they get up to open the door? What is stopping Am Yisrael from making the small action they are required to create a closeness and a relationship with Hashem, with an open door? They're asleep. Not just they're asleep, they're in bed. The next pasuk tells us, Pashateti et kutonti, eichacha el bashena. Rachatzti et raglai, eichacha tanfem. I've taken off my day clothes. I've put on my night clothes. I'm in bed. I see myself as a person who's in bed. I see myself as a person that bed is its place. Bed is its comfort zone. And therefore those few steps to the door seem like a big challenge. Those few steps that an awake person would skip easily become the few steps that are out of the comfort zone. It's like needing to get out of bed to turn off the boiler, or remembering that we haven't davened Maariv. When I see myself as someone that is in bed, the door seems so far away. But also, Rachatzti et raglai eichacha tanfem. My feet are clean, I've washed them. I know that any step forwards that I want to take in this world require me putting my feet on the dirty ground. But when these steps are required to move out of my comfort zone, I see the prices of change, the prices of needing to climatize to a new situation as a disproportionate price. In the end, Am Yisrael get up to the door. They find the internal power to make a change. I'm skipping a pasuk. For a moment, I want to look 2 psukim forwards. In the end, Am Yisrael find the power to get up and open the door. They find the internal courage to make a change, to open the door for Hashem. They move out of their sleeping and make an action. Kamti ani liftoach ledodi. What made them do it? Where did they find the power for this? Now we have to go back to the pasuk in between. Dodi shalach yado min hachor ume'ai hamu alav. The Dod sends his hand through the keyhole or the slit of the postbox, and Am Yisrael get a glimpse, that little glimpse that brings them to ume'ai hamu alav. A glimpse that makes them realize how much they want to be with the Dod, close to Hashem, ume'ai hamu alav. Strong feelings of longing and wistfulness bring Am Yisrael to no longer see themselves in bed, but see themselves as longing for Hashem. Their state of mind changes. They see themselves differently. They see themselves as a person who is awake. They now see themselves as a person that has a desire to be on the other side of the door, close to Hashem. if I'm a person who is awake, if I'm a person that sees myself longing for a relationship with Hashem, if I'm a person who is staying up for the dod to knock, it will be so easy to make those steps to the door when the knock comes. Someone who sees himself as a simple person who is just looking to make a small change will struggle to make that change stick. But someone who sees himself as a person who's striving for the divine, as someone who's looking for a relationship with Almighty, will find these changes he's looking to make come more naturally. Someone who sees their football as a low-key hobby that they're just okay at won't manage to find the willpower or dedication to improve greatly. Even if now he decides to practice for a month every day, his commitment will soon fade. But if he sees himself as a sportsman who has an ongoing desire to improve on the field, he will find it much easier to make progress. If we decide that we have a strong desire to be a godly person, to be a longing person who waits up for the knocking of God, if we are able to make a change in our state of mind, to feel that we are people that belong beveit Hashem, people that want to be closer to God. We all have areas in which we want to progress and succeed. If we decide this year that Avodat Hashem is one of those, that can be the key to making the changes that we have set ourselves for this year happen. And if we add to that the Rambam's advice to always see ourselves at the tipping point, every challenge, every nisayon is an opportunity, a junction to move ourselves and the world from kaf chova to kaf zchut. We are setting ourselves up for success. I want to wish you and all of Am Yisrael a shana tova, ktiva v'chatima tova. שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך